Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a brand new week. It's Monday morning, 9 a.m. I am seated in my sunroom and there is zero sun, but there's a lot of rain and a lot of wind with this pending cyclone. So I hope that you all are staying safe and dry out there. Gosh, it's so strange to me to be sitting here in the middle of February. This morning I had a woolly jersey on. Something bizarre is going on with our weather systems. I can't ever remember having a summer like this. Anyway, today's subject is all about how a cluttered mind will sabotage your health. And as usual, I come up with these subjects to talk about based on my own experiences, things that are happening in my own life, but also things that we talk about with our clients a lot. And within our 12-month mentorship at the moment, otherwise known as the World of Holistic Wellness, I've been talking a lot about the power of our thoughts, because everything that we do in our lives and every result that we get in our lives starts with your thoughts. And before I get on to the main meatiness of this subject, I just want to explain to you how this works, because this is a really crucial thing to understand. So when we have a thought, that particular thought will lead to an emotion. From that emotion, we will take an action, and from that action, we will get a result. So if there's anything in your life that's happening at the moment and you're not happy with the results that you're getting, you need to go right back to the start of the process and think about the way that you are, or think about your thoughts. And I want to give you an example. So let's say that somebody has the thought of, I can't lose weight. And I know that I refer to weight loss a lot, but it's very, very relevant for a lot of people and it applies to a lot of people. So this is why I use this one as an example. So let's take an example of someone who may be carrying a few extra kilos or maybe a lot of extra kilos, and they desperately want to shift those kilos, but they keep coming up with that thought of, I can't lose weight. Now from that thought, that is going to lead to an emotion. And that emotion is going to be around helplessness, hopelessness, frustration. Because naturally, if you're telling yourself that you can't do something, then that's naturally going to lead to a feeling of, being a little bit helpless. From that emotion, you are going to take an action. And if you're feeling helpless and frustrated, that action is probably going to be something quite unproductive. So for example, you may just think, oh, well, what's the point? I'm just going to sit on the couch with a packet of biscuits. Okay, that's the action that is likely to come from that emotion of feeling frustrated. And then from that action, you get a result, which is you've sat on the couch eating your packet of biscuits, and so you're gaining more weight. Okay, that's just an example of a result that happens from that initial thought process of, I can't lose weight. Now, just think about what would happen if you changed that thought to, it is in my power to lose weight. So from that thought, that will now lead to an emotion of feeling positive, feeling motivated, feeling hopeful. And then from that emotion, that will lead to an action. So if you're feeling hopeful and motivated, you're probably going to make the time to cook a healthy meal, or you're going to make the time to go on a 20 or 30-minute walk. And as a result of that action, you are going to lose weight. So that's just an example of how powerful our thoughts are. And I can't stress this enough, that if there's something that you're not happy with, if you're going through cycles of repetitive behavior and you're not getting different results or results that you want, and you're stuck in these same cycles, you need to go back and really pay attention to what your thought processes are, because that's where everything stems from. So many of us have a thought process that is just regurgitated from the day before. And I think there's a piece of research out there that proves that 85% of our thoughts are the same thoughts that we had yesterday and the same thoughts that we had the day before that. and the same thoughts that we probably had 5 or 10 years ago. So many of us just get caught in this cycle of having the same old thoughts over and over again, and then of course we generate the same old results over and over again. So this leads me into the topic of the day, which is all about how a mind that is cluttered with all these unproductive thoughts and these overwhelming thoughts are actually sabotaging your health. And this is a real epidemic that we see in our coaching business, is so much of someone's success around, addressing their health issues or losing weight or, following through on a coaching program. So much of it goes back to their thought processes. So just a key point here is that a cluttered mind, in my opinion, is very much based on a cluttered space. And I personally relate to this one a lot. And ever since I can remember, I remember being back at high school and having to study for an exam. And I could not sit at my desk and study in my bedroom if my room was a mess. I just couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. I was distracted by all the clutter and the mess around me, and I would have to do a quick clean up before I could sit at my desk and study effectively. And I find that now as well, that, especially working from home, if I'm surrounded by clutter and mess from the kids and all that sort of thing, it really impacts on my productivity. So a key thing to think about is your space overwhelming you? Is your physical space creating mental clutter for you? Is your physical clutter creating mental clutter? And what can happen is that if you're feeling mentally cluttered because of your space, this is going to lead you to feeling really disorganized, chaotic, scattered, like you're unable to focus. And of course, when we have those sorts of feelings, we're going to be making really unproductive choices or actions. So if we're feeling disorganized and scattered and like we're surrounded by chaos, we're probably going to be eating comfort foods. We're going to be reaching for convenience foods. And it's almost like your mind can become paralyzed around making good decisions because there's just so much overwhelm and clutter in your mind. And I'm going to give you an example of what I did this weekend around that whole clutter thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, another way that a cluttered mind can sabotage your health is that when you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed and like you've got too much going on in your head, this actually elevates your stress hormones in the body. Now, when you have elevated stress hormones, this can lead to pain, persistent pain. It can lead to chronic fatigue. And these things actually weaken your immune system. And when your immune system is weak, that is when you can be prone to developing, infections or becoming ill. Another way that stress levels or elevated stress levels can contribute to poor health is, they lead to things like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and also high blood pressure. You also can end up with headaches. You can end up with tension and stiffness around the neck area, shortness of breath, indigestion. These can all stem from elevated stress levels in the body, and often our stress levels are created by what's going on up in our minds. Okay, when you have elevated stress hormones, and I'm specifically talking about things like cortisol and adrenaline, this can actually affect your brain and your memory. So we've got a lot of people that we're seeing at the moment who are having really bad brain fog. They can't concentrate, their mind feels quite cloudy. And when you feel like you've got too much going on in your head, when you've got a cluttered head, you just forget stuff. You can't be productive in your life, your work life, your home life, if you keep forgetting everything. And this can be a real source of frustration for people because it starts to affect their relationships with other people as well. Okay, another way that a cluttered mind can sabotage your health is that it can lead to burnout and exhaustion. And we're also seeing a lot of this through our coaching business at present. So what happens is, you feel fatigued all day, you don't have any energy. And so as a natural result of this is of feeling burnt out and exhausted, you're not making particularly good choices. You're probably not sleeping very well. And obviously, your stress levels are high, and none of these things are going to support good health. Now, a cluttered mind will also just lead to, as I said, this refers back to the previous point, it leads to an unhealthy lifestyle. So you end up having a lot of coffee to try and keep you awake, especially if you've woken up feeling exhausted and you feel exhausted all through the day, constantly drinking that coffee just to give you that hit of energy. People are relying on a lot on alcohol to relieve their stress, and they think that that's the solution to kind of taking the edge off. In actual fact, it's just working against you in the complete opposite way. It's a toxin in the body. It's wrecking your sleep. It's wrecking your liver. It's wrecking your gut. And that creates a whole lot of other issues as well. Also, you end up eating a lot of junk food, comfort food, convenience food, as I mentioned. And maybe you stop exercising. Maybe you stop going for that walk or going to the gym just because you're feeling, exhausted and burnt out, and you're not able to make healthy choices. So if you can relate to any of these things, if you feel like you're in a state of overwhelm, there's too much going on in your head, you've got to start thinking about how you can resolve this issue, because it doesn't naturally resolve itself. And that goes back to what I said before about your thoughts are just on repeat a lot of the time. So you're thinking the same old thoughts that you've always had, and you've got to make a conscious decision to start changing those thoughts and changing, therefore changing your emotions and your actions and your results. So a couple of helpful ways on how to resolve mental clutter is you've got to identify the cause. Excuse me. You have to identify the cause of that cluttered mind or that sense of overwhelm. So for some people that might be writing in a journal, doing like a brain dump. A brain dump can be a really helpful tool where you just, at the end of every day, you just dump everything out on paper that's going on in your head. And from there you can sort of start to make sense of it and sort of have some more logic around what's going on. It can help just to talk it through with somebody, whether it's a partner or enlist a professional who you can talk these things through with. Another way to resolve this kind of mental overwhelm is to set boundaries around things. So in our modern world, we have very blurred boundaries, I believe, around, especially now that we have more capacity to work from home, we're not going to offices as much and things like that. We've got to create boundaries around the hours that we work, for example, and that we're not working, for hours and hours at the kitchen table responding to emails and things in the evenings. But also setting boundaries around social media use, which I think is a really important one. We tend to get caught up in the whole scrolling thing. And if you've ever experienced that, you'll know that it just leads to that sort of feeling of discontent, and it's almost like that addiction where you just keep scrolling, and I know a lot of people are struggling with that. So disconnecting is about kind of putting boundaries around those things that you need to have boundaries in place with, and also finding that time to do the things that you love. So whether it's a hobby, whether it's going out for a walk, you must schedule those things in the diary. And I actually did a Facebook story the other day about the importance of that. When you schedule something in the diary, it gets done. If it's not in the diary, it's not going to get done. So make sure you put into your calendar those times where you can focus on the things that you enjoy and you can have some downtime. You must focus on your sleep you must focus on your sleep routine. unwinding at nighttime is really important, and I know a lot of people don't do this particularly well. Something to keep in mind, going back to the whole social media thing and being on a device, is that light from the device, that it's called the blue light, it stimulates your cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So you shouldn't ideally be on your devices just before bed. That is it's gonna really work against you when it comes to sleep. But also, really helpful tools like a cup of chamomile tea, an Epsom salts bath, lying flat on your back when you get into bed and doing some deep breathing. They are all really good ways of unwinding and preparing the body for a deep sleep. Make sure you do some exercise. It can be really gentle exercise, just a gentle walk around the block, maybe some stretching. For me personally, that is a big part of me being able to declutter my mind. I find that when I go out for a walk, it kind of blows out the cobwebs, and it's a time when I can think clearly. I often come up with new ideas. And when I get home, I just feel really good and ready to, get back into my day. Another way to resolve this sort of cluttered mind is to really make healthy meals a priority. So good nutrient-dense food works wonders for your mental health and your ability to think clearly, to process things clearly. You must focus on good, healthy food, okay? This is going to help you so much with that sense of overwhelm. And it's really just about, again, putting it in the diary when you're going to actually, prepare these meals each day, how you're going to organize yourself to get that done. And the last one is clearing out your physical space. So this is about actually doing a physical declutter. And this is something that I did over the weekend. This is part of why I'm talking about this, because it's been so relevant for me this weekend. I got to the end of last week and I had a list of a lot of things happening within our business around new programs that we're developing, being interviewed for podcasts, putting together, proposals for certain things. And I just looked at that list and went, wow, this is actually quite overwhelming. But I knew that part of that overwhelm was coming from my cluttered environment. And I had a look at my desk area and I had a look at my bedroom, and it gone too far for me. So over the weekend, I invested a good few hours. I cleaned out my desk space. I put a lot of stuff into storage that I didn't need anymore. I got rid of piles of books and things off my bedroom floor, and I also went through my wardrobe and I chucked out a whole lot of old clothes that I don't wear anymore. And so now I'm approaching this week feeling so much clearer and so much focused and more organized, because I've done that huge physical declutter. And to me, that is a huge part of, having clarity in your mind, and then being able to make good decisions around your health. So I think this is something that you can't underestimate. If you feel like you're overwhelmed, if you've got too many thoughts going on in your head and you sort of don't know what's what, and you can't sort of logically work through them, then hopefully there's a few tools to get you started, and just a few things to think about when it comes to how this can start to sabotage your mental and physical health. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you all have a great week, and if you've got any questions, any comments, any suggestions about what you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to send them through. It's an exciting week here today. This week we've just started 30 plus people on our 11-day super cleanse. We had our Zoom session last night, and everyone is starting today, so that's really exciting. We've also got a really exciting new challenge coming up in March, which I'm working on at the moment, and all will be revealed very soon. So we'll catch you same place, same time next week, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.